This is the fifth state winning headlines, your media police post, brought to you by the Fort Hall School of Government, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. In this segment, we summarize the headlines that you may have missed this morning. We also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 22nd of July 2022, and I am Serbia.
I am MC Squared.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. The Daily Nation, Venezuelan with election stickers held at airport. The Standard, locked out in venues battle. The Star, Gachagua embroiled in 1.5 billion shilling city property row. And the People Daily, Oburu, what future holds for Raila. So before we delve into the headlines today, allow me to begin with my submission today. Yesterday, a Venezuelan national was detained over possession of suspicious election material. According to The Nation, this person was carrying 17 rolls of election stickers for various constituencies. Okay. And by the end of the day, a total of 3 individuals had been detained for further investigations. And even though Chebukati has released a scathing statement attacking the government for interference, we are still not convinced.
No.
Just 17 days to the election, 17 days. We shouldn't be questioning every single step that the IEBC takes. Yeah. And yet, here we are. Therefore, today I would like to ask just 2 questions. Yeah. 1, is the public right to distrust the IEBC? And 2, is Chebukati right to be frustrated by government interference? Now, there are 2 key steps that go into our voting process. Yeah. The first is the verification of the voter. This is done when IEBC takes your fingerprint to confirm who you are. Yeah. The second is the casting of the vote. On this, IEBC has procured 2 separate companies to do these 2 separate tasks. Smartmatic from Venezuela has been contracted to deal with electronic verification processes using the KIMS kit, and Lycos from Greece is in charge of the voting process. This is why they are printing the ballot papers. With this knowledge, how does it make sense that Smartmatic officials were found with rolls of election stickers in their personal language? But that is not all. Smartmatic is a company shrouded in mystery. The company may be known as Smartmatic UK, but it has significant Venezuelan connections. In fact, according to a Companies House UK website, 2 of the current directors are Venezuelan. The company has also been linked to previous failures to transmit electoral results around the world. This was seen in Uganda, the Philippines, and you guessed it, in Venezuela itself. This already brings up a number of suspicions with regards to the IEBC's ability to produce valid results on August 9th. But that is not the only problem.
Tell us.
Just 2 weeks ago, the Daily Nation reported that Kenya Kwanza principal Moses Wetangula had dinner with 3 Greek men in January of 2021. And these men happened to be the same individuals to win the 3 billion shilling tender to supply ballot papers to the IEBC come October 2021. Does this reflect objectivity on the IEBC's side? Anyways, question 2. Is Chebukati right to be frustrated by government interference? To that we say yes and no. Chebukati does have a right to feel aggrieved, but by him choosing to air his grievances, it means that he has already selected a side. But to add on to this, Chebukati has no one to blame in this but himself. The 2017 election was nullified because of process issues from the IEBC under the leadership of Chebukati. In that period, as we've said countless times, we lost 1 trillion shillings, equivalent to 1 billion shillings every working hour. MC Squared can do the math for you there.
Fact.
A recent report named Kenya as one of the worst places to invest this year because of uncertainty over the election. Simply put, far too much is at stake ahead of this election. Therefore, the IEBC should continue to expect a high level of scrutiny.
True.
Remember that the Supreme Court has already confirmed that they will nullify the election if irregularities are found. Do we want a repeat of 2017?
No way.
No.
Above all, the IEBC is in the trust business. And yet, anywhere you turn, the ability to the IEBC to give us a valid election has been put to question. And so, when an individual challenges the upcoming election, like we know they will, what opinion are they giving what options are they giving the Supreme Court? But overall, the question that we must, and that is left in our minds, is very simple. Cui bono? Who stands to benefit from a flawed election process? Sabia, Ebu tell them.
Higher. As you said, GK, we must ask, cui bono, or who benefits? not from the arrest of 3 Venezuelan nationals for having 17 rolls of election stickers for various constituencies in their luggage, but from how this story is being covered. Despite the very legitimate reasons that country has to distrust IEBC management of our elections, coverage on this issue has presumed malice on behalf of the state. Ladies and gentlemen, you are being lied to. And so I ask, is it possible that certain yellow-loving individuals are trying to manufacture an October surprise? An October surprise is a term that has been used in American politics to describe a game-changer event that happens in October and has a significant effect usually in the oncoming November elections. This event can arise by accident, like in the year 2000 when it emerged that George Bush had been arrested for drunk driving.
Really?
Sometimes this event can be manufactured, like in 2018 when the Republicans over-exaggerated the threat posed by a caravan of migrants walking into the US to seek asylum. The impact of these revelations is to destabilize your opponent and mobilize your base. For instance, in 2016, 10 days to the election, the FBI reignited debate about Hillary Clinton's use of a private server for her emails while Secretary of State. The Republicans used this revelation to mobilize anti-Hillary people to the polls as well as persuade the undecideds to vote for Trump. And it worked. Many voters who voted for Trump did so because of Clinton's email scandal. This is despite the fact that she did nothing wrong. But the Republicans made it look like she had done something wrong, of course. Applying this to our own situation here in Kenya, someone is trying to inject malice into the action of our security forces. They want the country to believe that those 3 Venezuelan nationals were arrested to misengineer the election. And know the truth, which is that they were detained because it is suspicious for foreign nationals to be traveling with sensitive electoral documents in their carry-on luggage, especially when the IEBC did not tell JKIA that they were coming and what they were coming with. Surely, given IEBC's track record and mathematics history, did you not expect the state to ask questions when someone shows up unannounced with sensitive documents? Especially when the IEBC has demonstrated what we must now call an unwillingness to do their job properly. Like with the American October surprise, someone is twisting this narrative to mobilize their people and, most importantly, persuade the undecided. And so we must ask, cui bono, who benefits? Between our 2 front runners, who has been using the boogeyman, that is the deep state, to unify and consolidate their voters? Who has been relying on conspiracy theories to cement their base? Who has told their voters that the deep state is working overtime to steal their victory? I submit that it is Kenya Kwanza. They are desperate and are now grasping at straws. They know they do not have Gema, and they are losing hustlers and youth daily to Wajakoya and Raila respectively. Now more than ever, they need to consolidate their base and mobilize the undecideds to their cause. That is all. They don't care about electoral integrity. If they did, they would have asked why the IEBC did not tell JKIA that foreign nationals were arriving with sensitive material. And what business those nationals have traveling with those stickers. But instead, they blame the state. And then again, with all these shenanigans from IEBC, will we even have an election in the first place?
That's a very good question.
Talking of shenanigans, there is something they have been doing. And yesterday, Prof called them out, and he abused, number 1, Tom Wolfe of Tifa Research, Infotrash, and other election polls researchers' names withheld. In his tweet, Prof said that all their polls are lies, and it is because their science is and is still wrong.
Explain.
And today, I would like to provide an insight into where Prof gets his dots from. I would also like to teach them how to do an actual election poll. Number 1, election polls are not the same as market research. It is not a simple question of asking a customer if they want red or pink lipstick, or whether they want unga or Gashagua's chapatis. And number 2, election polls must be based on science. And to be a science, election polling must obey a rule called sampling. And simply put, sampling is the science of selecting the number of people to participate in a survey.
Exactly.
And a good sample in election polls must consider the distribution of voters across the country. Simple. For instance, Kiambu has 1.4 million voters, while Garissa has only 200,000 voters. Now, there are 7 times more voters in Kiambu than in Garissa. In fact, if Duale were to campaign in Kiambu, he would not even get an MCA running mate position, let alone an MCA. So a good sample from these counties should have more respondents from Kiambu than in Garissa.
Absolutely.
So you can't ask 20 people in Garissa and ask 20 people in Kiambu who they will vote for and tell us Ruto is leading. You are lying. But what is my point? You must select participants from the IEBC registered voters. For example, an opinion poll done by Intel Research Solutions, which was released yesterday, selected people based on their M-Pesa numbers.
Seriously?
And on whether they can respond to a text message. And this is a company that is doing a poll for the first time.
You do well to listen to your lessons. Huh?
It seems they were picked from the yellow, I repeat, it seems they were picked from the yellow pages 18 days to election day. How convenient. So apart from donating choppers, Asla millionaires are putting 50 bob in pockets of people for a text message. And if Mama Mbogas are busy running the bottom-up economy, who responded to those messages?
Very good question.
And in the same poll by IRS, out of the 17,000 people selected, there were 11,000 men and only 5,000 women.
Oof.
That is 70% men and only 30% women. And how does it make sense if the IBC register has more women than men?
It's a fact.
Fact.
Yeah.
So who benefits from a poll where the opinion of women is excluded? Could it be the man who chose another man as his running mate when all the other candidates have women running mates? That same man has not only insulted Charity Ngilu, but has also implied that a slapping narrative that women are weak. Could that be the reason the opinion poll excluded women?
Wow.
Now, since the Fort Hall School of Government has taken you through a class on how to do an election poll, your homework is to tell your Udaku sponsors the truth. And the truth is that Baba is ahead. End of discussion.
There. Full stop. Fantastic. So we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines for you. We ask ourselves these 3 questions. Is the headline topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy? I'll repeat the headlines for you. The Daily Nation: Venezuelan with election stickers held at airport. The Standard: locked out in venues battle. The Star: Gachagua embroiled in 1.5 billion shilling city property row. And the People Daily: Oburu: what future holds for Raila? So I think off the bat, I think we're all gravitating to 2 headlines. The Daily Nation and
the Star, the Gachagua one, after he told us he's worth 800 million, the Star is reporting he's embroiled in a 1.5 billion city row. So he clearly understated his wealth by over 50%.
At least.
And I thought he's a hustler. Wow.
Maybe he's been one of the ones donating those 50 bobs, as you said. Mr.
And
MC
choppers.
And choppers.
Yeah.
So do we give the winning headline to both of these headlines? I'm liking both. I can't select between the 2.
Me too. I love both. They're very topical, relevant.
But by, if you ask me, the one I most prefer is the Daily Nation one.
Daily Nation one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Unfortunately, it's a democracy, Mr. MC Squared, so we'll give the win to the Daily Nation and the Star, who have a tie.
All right.
Thank you so much for watching Winning Headlines. And before we conclude and leave you, we'd like to remind you, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on your TV screens. You'll find us on Pang, Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. I will leave you with a very simple quote by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And it says this: in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
God bless.